Coffee lovers, he is on a mission to bring a better cup of coffee to the streets of Baltimore, and it all starts with the bean. Charm City Coffee Roasters has been hard at work creating fresh local roasts such as Harbor Blend, Baltimore Blend. Founder Chad Ford joining us now to tell us much more. Chad, thanks for being here.
Absolutely,
sir.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Let's set the stage first. Now, I want to mention you're an Anne Arundel County firefighter, fresh off duty this morning, I might add. So a little caffeine, probably not a bad thing. You decided to start your own coffee company, Charm City Coffee Roasters. Tell us about it. Give us the background.
So I started in a coffee shop in Highlandtown, looking just for something to do on my days off from work with the fire department. Found a shop that just happened to roast their own coffee in the back. Found myself kind of spending more time with those guys in the back, segued into that, roasted for high grounds for 4 or 5 years, and just kind of decided a year or two ago just to give it a shot for myself.
It's impressive, and I know the guys at the firehouse have to love it when you bring in some of your high-powered, high-octane coffee here. So let's get into a little bit. You know, what goes into, and maybe more importantly, how can we make a better cup of coffee at home as we look at some of your work here across the community?
So big thing, people nowadays are buying locally fresh roasted coffee. They're taking it home, putting it in their Mr. Coffee brewer, and comes out just tasting a little off from what they had in the shop. A couple things just to keep in mind. You want to keep it close to brewing time as possible with your grinding. You want to grind it kind of last minute. And another thing a lot of people miss is your water temperature. The majority of your home brewers don't get your water to the proper temperature. You want to brew your coffee at about 205 degrees, and your normal brewers don't do that. So one thing that's become pretty popular is the manual brews at home. So we brought a couple in just to do a demonstration. Different
manual brews here. So I know we're going to do a pour over in a second. This is the French press. Use the electric kettle, correct, to get it up to 200.
Yep. So we had our kettle go just off of a boil. We have we work with, you want to keep about 15-16 grams of water to 1 gram of coffee, somewhere in that ratio. So we had our coffee in, we added our appropriate amount of water, waited 4 minutes, dropped the plunger. So we've got our ground separated in the bottom and hot coffee ready to go.
All right, so what do you say here? So you completed the press. Do you do a double press, or is it ready to pour?
No, it's ready to go now. Sometimes people don't like the little kind of particulates that stay in there, so you can take another coffee, just a plain coffee filter, and pour that in again, and you'll get another filtration out of it.
So we get a little pour here going. How's that? Boy, you can just smell that fresh ground coffee, and it's exciting, man. I mean, really good stuff here. And then secondarily, this electric tea kettle used for coffee, also with a pour over, correct?
Absolutely, yep.
All right, so let's...
Yeah, so we've got a Kalita pour over here. We're going to set it up on our scale. Another thing to kind of work with a better cup of coffee at your house is to use mass-based measurements rather than volume. So rather than 2 scoops of coffee and a cup of water, get yourself a scale.
A little food
scale.
Scale that expensive? Not really.
Not a couple, 20, 30 bucks. You can find them online. You can find them at your local coffee shop.
Especially if you're just making 1 or 2 cups, right?
Absolutely.
This is ideal.
Yep.
Give us a pour over on that.
Yeah, so we've got our preset amount of coffee on there. We've got our water just off of a boil. We're going to start with a quick, what we call a bloom, that you'll notice with fresh coffee. It'll puff up pretty quickly. And that's just a little bit of the carbon dioxide off-gassing from the top.
Okay. And
so
then
we'll give that some time.
Slowly begin to drip through. And that's, again, where you get the full benefits of that fresh, local coffee.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you were to take your generic bag of pre-ground coffee from the grocery store and put it in here, it's going to be a completely different experience.
Man, there is so much to talk about this on this front, especially for those of us who love the good cup of joe. Chad Ford with Charm City Coffee Roasters. You can head to his website to find out all the locations you can buy it around the Baltimore area, several stores in the area. Do that for sure. Chad, thanks so much for coming in and for your service on the fire department in Anne Arundel. We're back with more Midday Maryland right after this. We're going to pour that one too.
Yeah.